The now is life itself, not a mere fragment of time we pass through on the way to something else. It is the very fabric of existence, the place where everything happens, the moment in which you are alive. If you think deeply, you will realize that the past exists only in memory and the future exists only in imagination. They are mental constructs, shadows of what has been or projections of what might be. But the now, this breath, this heartbeat, this sensation of sitting or standing where you are, is undeniable. It is reality itself. To miss it is to miss life. Many people live as if the present is just a stepping stone to something more important. They say to themselves, when I graduate, I will start living. Or, when I get the job, when I marry, when I retire, then I will be happy. Life is postponed endlessly into a horizon that never truly arrives, because whenever the so-called future comes, it is already the now again. What they overlook is that the only place joy can be found is here. The only time peace can be experienced is here. The only moment you can love, laugh, breathe, cry, or grow is here. Consider how much energy we spend chasing after what is not here. We replay past mistakes, carrying shame or pride into the present, allowing memories to define us as if they were still alive. We project into the future with hope or anxiety, believing happiness depends on an outcome that has not yet unfolded. This restless chasing blinds us to what is already available. The taste of food in your mouth, the color of the sky above, the sound of your own breath, all of this richness dissolves into background noise when the mind is elsewhere. Eckhart Tolle's teaching points us back to this truth. Life is not happening yesterday or tomorrow. Life is happening now. When you realize that the now is life itself, you begin to loosen your grip on time. You begin to understand that the past is a story you tell yourself, and the future is a dream you project. Neither is alive. The aliveness, the vibrancy, the pulse of existence is only here, and this realization changes everything. Problems that seemed overwhelming lose their sharpness when seen through the lens of presence. Fear diminishes because fear is always about what might happen, not about what is happening right now. Even suffering shifts in quality when met in the now. Pain is still pain, but the added weight of resistance, of I cannot handle this forever, falls away. In the now, you are not carrying forever. You are carrying only this moment, and you can handle this moment. Think of a flower. It does not bloom in the past or the future. It blooms here in the sunlight of the present. Similarly, your life unfolds in each breath, each choice, each awareness that arises right now. When you live connected to the now, you live in alignment with reality. You stop resisting what is and begin embracing life as it comes, moment by moment. In this openness, beauty reveals itself everywhere, in silence, in stillness, in the ordinary. So the invitation is simple. Stop searching for life elsewhere. Do not postpone joy until tomorrow. Do not anchor your identity in yesterday. Meet life where it actually is, here now. In doing so, you discover that the now is not only life itself, but also the gateway to freedom, peace, and deep fulfillment. So much of human suffering comes from living in times that are not alive. The past is gone, and the future has not yet arrived. Yet our minds endlessly drift into both, creating a life that is more mental story than lived reality. To escape from past and future thinking does not mean erasing memory or abandoning planning. It means releasing the tight grip these illusions have over our awareness so that we can finally experience life as it unfolds. Eckhart Tolle reminds us that when the mind is lost in the past or future, we are cut off from the very source of aliveness, the now. The past holds us in chains when we confuse memory with identity. We carry regrets like stones in a bag, replaying scenarios we cannot change, torturing ourselves with if-only thoughts. Or we cling to achievements and nostalgic moments, longing to return to a time that exists only in recollection. Both are illusions because the past is no longer real. It can serve as a teacher, but it cannot be relived. The danger comes when we let it define who we are today. A person who sees themselves only through the lens of past mistakes walks through life as though carrying a shadow over their head. But when we recognize the past as just memory, we can learn from it without letting it dominate our presence. The future, on the other hand, is a playground for worry and fantasy. We constantly chase after better versions of ourselves, saying, "When I achieve this, then I will be at peace. When I get that, then I will finally be enough." But the moment one goal is achieved, the mind immediately moves the finish line. Anxiety also lives here, whispering, "What if it all goes wrong? What if I fail? What if tomorrow brings disaster?" This constant projection robs us of peace today. The mind creates storms that do not exist, enslaving us to fears of things that may never even happen. Escaping this trap requires a shift in awareness. You do not need to fight with your thoughts or push them away. Instead, you become aware of them, noticing when your mind wanders into the past or leaps into the future. In that noticing, there is already freedom because awareness exists only in the present. For example, when you catch yourself replaying an argument from yesterday, pause and return to the breath. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. In that instant, the past loses its grip because you are anchored again in reality. When fear about tomorrow arises, shift attention to what is undeniably true right now. Perhaps the fear says you may fail in the future, but in this moment you are breathing, alive, supported by the earth beneath you. That is reality. Everything else is imagined. Living free from past and future thinking does not mean you stop learning or planning. It means you stop being possessed by time. You can honor your past without being imprisoned by it. You can prepare for the future without being consumed by it. The difference is presence, the ability to recognize that the only place where life can be touched, shaped, and experienced is here and now. When you escape the pull of time, even briefly, you taste freedom. Your mind grows quieter, your body feels lighter, and your spirit expands. Life no longer feels like a race you are losing, but a living moment you are inhabiting. And in that inhabiting, joy naturally arises. This is not the joy of circumstances, but the joy of being. It is the joy of realizing that by escaping past and future thinking, you have stepped fully into life itself. Presence is not just a spiritual concept. It is the direct experience of life as it unfolds, without the interference of endless thoughts. When you are fully present, you are no longer split between the chatter of the mind and the reality of the moment. This wholeness brings with it a sense of clarity and peace that cannot be found in striving, worrying, or remembering. Clarity arises because the fog of mental noise begins to settle. Peace arises because you are no longer resisting life, but resting in it. Most of the confusion we feel in life is not caused by the situations themselves, but by our thoughts about them. A problem appears overwhelming not because of what is happening right now, but because of the story we spin around it. This shouldn't be happening. What if it gets worse? I'll never manage this. When presence comes in, all of that mental storytelling quiets down. Instead of being trapped in the endless analysis of what if, you see things as they are. If a challenge arises, You meet it directly in the moment without dragging the weight of imagined futures onto it. That is clarity, seeing reality as it is, unclouded by thought. Peace also blooms in presence. Consider how much of your inner unrest comes from resistance. You resist what has already happened, wishing it could be different. You resist what might happen, fearing it before it arrives. This resistance creates tension inside you, a constant state of unease. But when you are present, resistance dissolves. You allow this moment to be as it is, without demanding it be otherwise. That acceptance does not mean passivity. It means you stop fighting with reality. From that place of acceptance, true action can arise, not from fear or anger, but from wisdom. For example, imagine you are stuck in heavy traffic. The mind might instantly complain, "I'll be late, this always happens, why is this city so bad?" The body tenses, frustration builds, and peace disappears. Yet nothing changes outside, the cars are still there. What robs you of peace is not the traffic, but your resistance to it. If you bring yourself into presence, you notice your breath, your hands on the steering wheel, the sound of the engine. You accept that in this moment, this is reality. And suddenly, a quiet peace arises, even though the situation has not changed. This is the power of presence. It transforms your inner state regardless of outer circumstances. Clarity in presence also guides you toward right action. When the mind is frantic, decisions are clouded by fear, haste, or ego. But when you are still, when you are rooted in the now, wisdom has space to emerge. You can hear the subtle guidance of intuition, the inner knowing that often gets drowned out by noise. A calm mind sees possibilities more clearly, solutions more easily. Even creativity flourishes here, because creativity is not forced. It arises naturally when you are fully in the moment. Peace, too, deepens when you realize that life is not against you, but simply unfolding. In presence, you see that each moment is complete in itself, even if it contains discomfort. There is no need to rush to escape it, no need to demand it be something else. This acceptance softens the heart. You meet life as a friend rather than an enemy, and in that friendliness, joy emerges effortlessly, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer trapped in the illusion that something is missing. So presence brings clarity because it quiets the noise and allows you to see clearly. It brings peace because it ends the war with what is. Together, clarity and peace form the foundation of a life lived with depth, wisdom, and freedom. To live in presence is to live in harmony with reality, and in that harmony lies the essence of true happiness. Awareness is the doorway to the present moment. It is the key that unlocks the now, the gentle light that reveals what has always been here. Without awareness, we drift unconsciously through life, pulled between memories and worries, reacting out of habit rather than responding with clarity. With awareness, we wake up. We notice what is happening inside and around us, and in that noticing, a new dimension of life opens. Awareness is not something foreign we need to acquire. It is our natural state of being. Yet because the mind is so noisy, we often overlook it. To understand awareness, imagine sitting quietly and noticing your breath. The simple act of observing inhalation and exhalation is awareness in action. You are not trying to change the breath, nor are you lost in thinking about it. You are simply aware of it. In that moment, you step outside of the endless stream of thought. Awareness gives you distance from the chatter of the mind. Instead of being entangled in thoughts like "I am failing" or "I must hurry," you recognize this is a thought passing through. That recognition is powerful because it means you are no longer fully identified with the mind. You become the witness. This witnessing is the entry point into presence. The moment you notice your own thoughts, emotions, or sensations, you are awake in the now. For example, when anger rises, most people become consumed by it. They are the anger. But if you bring awareness to it and say inwardly, "I feel anger in my chest, in the heat of my face," you create space. You are no longer the anger. You are the one observing anger. In that space, the emotion softens, and wisdom has room to emerge. Awareness transforms how you relate to everything. Daily life offers countless opportunities to practice this. Washing dishes can become a meditation if you bring awareness to the warm water, the texture of the soap, the movement of your hands. Walking down a street becomes alive when you notice the sensation of your feet on the ground, the air brushing against your skin, the sounds around you. These moments may seem small, but they are profound because they anchor you in reality. Awareness reveals that life is not something to rush through. It is something to be lived deeply, right now. Awareness is also the beginning of freedom from suffering. Most suffering arises not from what is happening, but from our unconscious identification with thoughts about it. When you become aware, you see that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not even your stories about who you are. You are the awareness behind them. This realization is liberating. It allows you to carry experiences lightly, without being crushed by them. The past may still echo in memory, the future may still call with uncertainty, but awareness keeps you rooted in what is real, this moment. The beauty of awareness is its simplicity. You do not need to master a complex practice or withdraw from the world. You only need to notice the breath, notice the body, notice the stillness underneath all activity. Each act of noticing strengthens presence. Over time, awareness becomes more stable, and you begin to live less in distraction and more in connection with life. So awareness is not just the entry point. It is also the foundation of living in the now. It is the gentle step that leads you out of unconscious living into conscious presence. By choosing awareness, you choose to open your eyes to the richness of existence. You step out of the dream of time and into the reality of life itself. And in that choice, you discover that everything you have been seeking, peace, clarity, love, is already here, waiting to be noticed. Challenges are an unavoidable part of life. No human being can escape moments of loss, pain, or uncertainty. Yet the way we meet those challenges determines whether they break us or strengthen us. Presence, the ability to remain rooted in the now, offers a kind of strength that is far deeper than physical toughness or sheer willpower. It is the strength of clarity, resilience, and inner steadiness that arises when we face what is happening directly, without adding the heavy burden of past regrets or future fears. Most of the suffering during hard times does not come from the challenge itself, but from the mind's interpretation of it. Imagine losing a job. The immediate reality may be difficult. You no longer have that position, and you must look for another source of income. But the mind adds layers of suffering. I am a failure. This always happens to me. I will never recover. What if I can't support my family? Suddenly, the weight of the problem multiplies, and what could have been handled step by step feels like an unbearable mountain. Presence interrupts this cycle. When you stay with what is truly happening now, the situation becomes manageable. In this moment, you are breathing. In this moment, you can send out one application, make one phone call, take one step. Strength is found in focusing on what is real and actionable, not on what the mind imagines. Presence also gives strength because it reduces fear. Fear is almost always about the future, about what might go wrong. When you stay in the now, fear loses its fuel. Think of someone facing a medical diagnosis. The mind may race with what if it's cancer, what if I die? But in the present, before results arrive, the only reality is perhaps sitting in a chair, feeling your breath, waiting. By staying with that moment, you do not carry the weight of 1,000 imagined futures. You conserve your energy, meeting each stage of the challenge when it actually arrives. That steadiness is true strength. Another form of strength that presence brings is acceptance. This is not passive resignation, but a courageous willingness to face life as it is. When something painful happens, the instinct is often to resist. This shouldn't be happening. I can't bear this. But resistance does not change the reality. It only exhausts you. Presence teaches you to soften into acceptance. This is what is happening now. From that acceptance, you discover inner resilience. It does not mean you stop acting to improve the situation. It means your actions arise from a place of peace rather than panic. Consider the example of someone caring for a sick loved one. The mind could easily become overwhelmed with thoughts of how long the illness will last, how unfair it is, how impossible it feels to endure. Yet if the caregiver shifts into presence, they find strength in the simple act of tending moment by moment, in offering water, holding a hand, sharing silence. Instead of collapsing under the weight of an unknown future, they discover courage in the small steps of the present. Presence also transforms pain into a teacher. In the now, you can observe your reactions, your emotions, your inner resistance. You learn more about yourself through challenges than through comfort. Awareness reveals that even in suffering, there is space within you that remains untouched. The stillness of presence itself. Connecting with that inner space gives you strength, because you realize you are not defined by what is happening, but by the awareness witnessing it. So challenges, while difficult, become opportunities to awaken. They invite you to practice presence more deeply, to let go of time-bound suffering, and to draw strength from the only place it exists, the now. In that space, you discover that you are stronger than you imagined, not because life is easy, but because you are no longer fighting against reality. You are rooted in it, steady, awake, and alive. Joy and love are not things we need to chase. They are natural states of being that arise when we are fully present. Most people search endlessly for happiness in external achievements, possessions, or relationships, believing that joy will come once certain conditions are met. But true joy and true love do not belong to the future, nor do they live in the past. They bloom only in the now. When we are present, when our minds are not scattered in stories of yesterday or tomorrow, the heart naturally opens, and joy and love flow without effort. Joy in its purest form is not dependent on circumstances. It is not the fleeting excitement of getting what you want, which quickly fades once the novelty wears off. Instead, it is the quiet, steady radiance that emerges from being connected to life as it is. Imagine sitting quietly in nature, watching the play of light on leaves, listening to the sound of birds. If you are truly present, you may feel a deep joy that has nothing to do with gaining or achieving. It is simply the joy of being alive. This joy is always available, but it is often hidden beneath the noise of thought. When you bring attention back to the now, through the breath, through awareness of your surroundings, you create space for this joy to shine through. Love, too, arises naturally in the now. When you are present with another person, fully attentive without judgment or distraction, love flows effortlessly. Most of what passes for love in daily life is tangled with need, fear, or expectation. I love you if you make me happy. I love you because you give me something. But this is conditional and fragile. True love is not a transaction, it is presence. When you sit with someone in full awareness, seeing them as they are, not through the filter of past grievances or future expectations, you are touching the essence of love. In those moments, even silence can be love. A simple gaze, a gentle touch, or the act of listening with full attention becomes a profound expression of connection. Think of a child. Children often radiate joy and love because they live more naturally in the now. When a child laughs, it is not because they are calculating a reason to be happy. They laugh because in that moment, joy bursts forth. When they hug you, it is not because they expect something in return. It is a pure expression of love born of presence. Adults lose touch with this simplicity because the mind gets clouded with stories, but the essence of joy and love remains within us, waiting to be rediscovered in the now. Even in solitude, joy and love can be experienced when you are present. Joy arises from being attuned to life itself, from the simple act of breathing, seeing, feeling. Love arises as a sense of oneness, of connection with all that is. When the boundaries of the ego soften in presence, you feel less like a separate, isolated individual and more like part of the great flow of life. In that unity, love is not something you do, it is something you are. The beauty of joy and love arising in the now is that they are inexhaustible. Unlike pleasures tied to external things, which fade quickly, presence renews itself endlessly. Each moment offers fresh life, fresh beauty, fresh opportunities for connection. When you live in the now, you realize that joy and love are not goals to reach someday. They are the essence of this very moment, available here and now, if only you pause and notice. So the invitation is simple. Return again and again to presence. In that stillness, joy naturally wells up, and love flows freely, not as something forced, but as the truth of who you are. In the now, you do not have to become joyful or loving. You discover that joy and love are already here, waiting to be lived.